Najdi Architecture. I mean, it's like every time that I'm taking a friend to Diraya, to At-Turaif especially. Okay, now At-Turaif is not only just a UNESCO marked heritage site for me, it is the birthplace of Saudi Arabia. It's like the crown jewel when you talk about the city of Riyadh. That's where the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia started. But it's so much more special to me. I feel there is there's something that gets kindled inside of me every time that I am in Diraya, okay? At Turaif, walking around, going towards the Salwa Palace.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Jehan AlMahmoud, joining you from Riyadh, a city stepping confidently into global visibility. In my podcast, we speak with expats contributing to that transformation from different angles. Today, I'm joined by Cyma Azyz, originally from Pakistan. She is a media and communications professional whose career spans live broadcasting and TV production across Saudi national media. Later, Cyma's work expanded into cultural preservation, where she contributed to projects reviving authentic Najdi craftsmanship at the highest national levels, ensuring that our Saudi heritage was not only preserved, but proudly presented to the world. Her journey reflects the larger story of Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030, progress grounded in identity, ambition, and a new era of women's leadership. We're so very happy and honored to have you with us on my podcast today. I remember the first time that I met you. I was sitting on your place and you were interviewing me in KSA2 channel.
So this
And
is life coming full circle.
exactly. And that was a while back. Okay. And I remember that I was super nervous from live television, going live on camera. However, the way that you've conducted the interview, the way that you've clearly cared about the topic and the story that I was telling back at that time, it was incredible. It was just like you made me feel so comfortable. You made me even feel passionate about media and actually doing this kind of thing of content creation years later in the future. So truly, Cyma, I am absolutely honored and thrilled to have you with me today on my podcast.
I'm so thrilled as well. You were a student back then, and look at you, Dr. Jehan Mahmoud now.
Yes.
That is amazing. I'm just so immensely proud of you and your journey as well.
Thank
It's
you.
really beautiful how life comes into full circle at times like these. You really can see how things shaped up. That's absolutely beautiful. I'm
Thank you.
really honored.
Thank you so much. Now, tell us about yourself, Cyma. Your journey, you're from Pakistan and you've been living in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia for a while. We want to know more about you and how long have you been here, what brought you here, and everything in between.
So, well, it's a long story of a family which started from my grandfather who migrated and moved from Pakistan to Saudi Arabia. And he started his business in Saudi Arabia. For him, it was a choice that he made, and he came to Saudi Arabia. Following him, eventually my father came, and he started loving it as well. He got married and moved to Saudi Arabia out of, again, his own choice. For me, born to parents who were already living in Saudi Arabia was not a choice because I was born to parents who were living in Saudi Arabia. But at this point, if I think about myself as the third generation of my family in Saudi Arabia, it is a choice that I'm here. I really, really love the kingdom. I love it because of my experiences. I love it because of so many other reasons. I love it because of my day to day life. So, Saudi Arabia is a choice that I have made. And my family is even raising the fourth generation here, which is my brother's children.
MashaAllah.
So my brother's children are being raised in Saudi Arabia. Again, this is by choice. So the first choice was made by my grandfather, but for all of us, we are very free-willed and having all the freedom of choice from our family and our parents, not forced to live in Saudi Arabia. But when I think about myself, where else do I live? I have been to more than half of the world. I have traveled extensively. I have done a lot of traveling. And when I travel, I say traveling because I'm not a tourist traveling. I am a traveler. I don't really go and land into a city and a few hours or a few days and out of there. So I have traveled extensively around the world, and I feel like Saudi Arabia is my home by choice. This is where I choose to live for the rest of my life. Alhamdulillah, last year we bought a home.
MashaAllah.
So my family has a home. We are no longer in a
MashaAllah.
rented home, which is something I'm very proud of. But that was because we totally envisioned our family living in Riyadh for life.
And when you think of yourself and your identity, do you identify as an expat living in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, or I'm curious to know, how do you identify?
This is a bit difficult to say because for me, how should I be identified? Now, because the work scope that you have, it is for the UN. So how is it that a person is recognized? We say global citizens, but your citizenship is what your passport is. So do I say like I'm a Pakistani by my passport, but a Saudi, a Najdi mainly at heart? My heart belongs to Riyadh. I mean, if I say Saudi Arabia, it's really a huge, vast kingdom. My heart truly is in the city of Riyadh. I love this city. Everything that I have, actually, or even if I think about my father or my grandfather, it's all from Saudi Arabia. We are truly indebted to the country. We love it dearly. So I don't know if I can say that I love Saudi Arabia more than my Saudi friends, but I truly, truly love the country. And my sense of belonging is to this kingdom and to this city.
Incredible. And having been here and having witnessed the incredible transformations that are taking place in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, what are some of those like transformations that stand out to you socially, personally, and professionally from your work as a media consultant, as someone who's truly understands media and content?
So when I think about Saudi Arabia, obviously the transformation is really, really on such a huge scale. You can see it on in and around you in all different spheres of life. Uh, I do understand that there has been a lot of misconceptions about Saudi Arabia. So back in the day as well, whenever it was that I was interviewed for foreign media or traveling around, they would be asking like, what is it that you're doing as a media person for the liberation of women in Saudi Arabia? Liberation of what? We had so many amazing Saudi females from back in the day as well. Like if you think about the Saudi females who are really, really top achievers around the world, like Lubna Lulayan was not made in a day. She was not made after the transformation of Saudi Arabia. She was made when she was made. You yourself, if we think about your journey, when was it that you were sent abroad to study and everything on a Saudi scholarship program? So there have been amazing female stories from back in the day as well. The transformation has now helped people from grassroots level as well to come up much more easier, and you can see possibilities around you. But the transformation of Saudi Arabia is something which is really on a very large scale. So from what? From the old times where we were not really having much music to the transformation where we have one of the biggest music festivals in the world, that is absolutely amazing. Saudi Arabia was a destination people were thinking how it is that they would be able to come. Now, Saudi Arabia is so open to the tourists and tourism from all around the world. The Crown Prince has opened doors with Vision 2030. People, if they're not already coming down to Saudi or have visited, they're already thinking about how it is to be coming down and visiting. Touristic sites, for instance, are very easily accessible. People can just like log on to Google and just like read about how it is that they're going to be able to come. The visas to everything else has been open in an amazing way. So these are the major transformational changes that I feel are very, very important. Saudi Arabia is out there and it's open to the world. Like when you think about culture, there are not that many places that you can think about with such deep rooted cultural identity. So for me, I mean, like, if I was somebody who was not living in Saudi Arabia, as someone who's deeply interested in history and culture, I would have like visited for sure. So, I mean, I really, really feel like people are coming from all over the world. Every time it is that I'm out and about, I'm meeting people because I'm a media person now. I'm not anymore on live television, but this was a part of me. It was a part of my personality. So, a lot of the times, like, queuing up at a McDonald's, I could be talking to people randomly. And like, what brought you to Saudi Arabia? Because like I can see that this person is not from here. Or maybe taking a coffee somewhere, I would be talking to a female who's just like sitting by herself. And I'm like, oh, hello, would you like to join? And this is something, by the way, I was not always as open. But this is something that I feel like I have become so open to in Saudi Arabia because where we are living is such a safe society. You never really have to be thinking about, oh, that's a stranger, stranger danger, and all those things that we learned as kids. They do not really apply to Saudi Arabia. There are, I don't know, if I think about it, thousands and thousands of people that I have interviewed from all around the world who came to Saudi Arabia. And this is something that I have never really thought about as much when I was doing deep conversations and interviews for my program, which I was producing. So I was usually in front of the camera, but when I went behind the camera, I was producing a program. It was called Tajriba Farida. So it means unique experience. And this was a program in which I was collecting people's, lives in Saudi Arabia from different cultures. And I was surprised that how come I never thought about this one thing, which everybody says, because I've interviewed people from South Africa, I've interviewed people from Europe, people from United Kingdom, US, all over the world, and they would be saying the best thing about Saudi Arabia is it's so safe and secure. We can walk out of our home at any time of the day without thinking that we are, walking. And I felt like, as a person who was born and raised in Saudi Arabia, I took it for granted. I never really thought you asked me about Saudi Arabia, and I would say 50 amazing things which come from my heart. But I would never talk about safety and security because I grew in this environment and culture, and I understood how we take it for granted. How it is that a lot of the people in different parts of the world do not feel safe or secure walking out from their house at any time of the day. Whereas me, I can like, without thinking, call an Uber at 4:30 a.m. to go to the airport. I mean, I'm really not thinking.
And you would feel totally safe going about Uber and
Absolutely,
everything. Yes.
because it is the kingdom which has given us this, serenity and security. So I felt like, wow, I mean, like, I thought that I am very well posted.
Mhm.
I would have never talked about Saudi Arabia with the point of security.
Mhm.
I mean, on a day to day basis, I know that in this kingdom we are safe, but I would not really be thinking about this really. Because when I travel, even as a traveler around the world, it's very usual. Like, you're not gonna wake up one day if you're like visiting Milan, London, or New York at 4 a.m. and head out from your hotel to, walking around the street.
Yeah.
This would only happen in a country where you're actually living. And so I felt like I was taking it for granted all those years until I heard it from other people and other cultures. And I think, like, this is what makes it so interesting sometimes. I mean, it took a person from South Africa or from the US or from UK who is in Saudi Arabia for the past like 2, 3 years to tell somebody who has spent all her life in Saudi Arabia that Saudi Arabia is
Mhm.
safe. It was just something that I was taking for granted.
It's absolutely fascinating how sometimes we get a perspective of our place that, as you said, we're super familiar with, we take it for granted. And just that perspective of an outsider can tell us a lot about where we're at. And for you, Simon, with all the work that you've done and all the interviews that you've done with foreign delegates, senior leaderships from all over the world that you've met with, I'm sure that there are certain misconceptions that these people have about Saudi Arabia. I'm curious to know what are some of these misconceptions and how do you think that Saudi have successfully worked towards kind of like clarifying these kind of misconceptions and stereotypes over here?
So, well, one of the first things I would say is education, education, and education. I mean, it's really, really amazing with how highly literate and educated Saudis are entering into the workforce. These are, again, not people like, who were born yesterday. These were people who were already in the making for the past 2 or 3 decades. So, misconceptions about Saudi Arabia, I feel like a lot of the times are people in the media, people in even a lot of the leadership positions or key positions, they are going somewhere with a preset notion, which is not their own personal concept of the place. They're just listening to media, sometimes not even listening to people's real stories. And I also feel like, if you had a story about a country or about a person, why should I base my judgment on it? Did I experience it? Did I see it firsthand? So I feel like, preset notions and going into a country with preset notions is something which is really, really wrong. It just shows a lack of enthusiasm on your part as a person coming into a country. So I feel like, if people are to be going without these judgmental notions and trying to create their own reality and understanding, it would be much, much more amazing. Saudi Arabia has done a lot of the things when it comes to opening, like, interfaith, intercultural dialogues and things like that, so that, like, you hear voices from Saudi Arabia, people who are actually here, people who have, like, lived here, or people who have come here already. So these preset notions, a lot of the times, which are like, from listening to random media sources and just thinking upon those lines, sometimes, coming up with an idea already arriving here, which is so strong. Like, Saudi society is like not a very literate society. Women are underprivileged, or children are not privileged, or they don't have the freedom of choice or freedom of opinion. These are, like, some of the things which really, really frustrate me, because now we are in like a very digital open era. We can, like, just log on to the internet and it takes moments to understand. Or maybe you don't even need to think much or use much of your own understanding, because AI generated things are coming up all the time as well. Just see, like, is Saudi Arabia safe? Are people going around on camels? Or, like, well, I know that this camel story is like, from the old times. It doesn't really exist now. But
And the
there were
oil in our backyards and all that fun stuff.
so, I mean, a lot of those things, I feel like if people would come in with an open heart, let's see what there is. Like, we've got a lot of examples. Like, look at Cristiano Ronaldo, okay? Like, he came into Saudi Arabia and then he is living in the culture. He is around the Saudis. It's a lot of the people. I
With
mean,
his
like, but again,
family, with his, yeah,
yeah, I
exactly.
mean,
Mhm.
like, maybe using a superstar's example, like, a football star's example is maybe like, it's not really mirroring a normal person. But because I have met, like, a lot of the people, like, from top media houses, from top television networks, from the Finnish TV, I was like, taking them around the Finnish national TV. I was taking them around, showing them in Saudi Arabia, Italian top radio national network, or a lot of the other media people that I have met from different parts of the world. And it's like surprising. How come? And then you're coming and creating stories based already on your preset notions. How is this opening doors? How is it leading to an understanding or anything as such? So I would just like say that if people can open their hearts and open their minds and come and go through the culture or go through the country as it is, and get like random box from people, hear perspectives, hear opinions, to understand and create a notion, and definitely not to be just jumping onto what everybody else thinks.
Absolutely, very well said. The mindset that is required to come into a new place requires this kind of like openness and curiosity and engaging with the locals to kind of like learn more about what's happening, the reality of things. I'm curious to know if you have any like specific examples that stand out to you the most when it comes to your engagement with those international delegates and the type of conversations that you've had. if there is anything that maybe stands out when it comes to like, certain misalignments or confusion that you, through your, platform and through your skills, conversational skills and intercultural dialogue skills that you helped resolve.
Well, I mean, like the first thing would always be my own life's living example. So a lot of the times they would say Saudi Arabia is a very closed country. Right. So I am a Pakistani based and living in Saudi Arabia, working for the national television. How is it a closed country? I mean, like, there were a lot of the things, a lot of the times, like sometimes I would listen to things and I am a little bit still in disbelief. I mean, I feel like, like mentioning international media figures or names, it's like, maybe not so appropriate, especially that it's a podcast. But like some of the really, really top media people, females who came in to Saudi Arabia, and they are like, asking and talking, and then they're like, yeah, but it's a closed country. But you just came. How it is that and then like just looking at me as an example, like how open Saudi Arabia is, like everybody has a story where something happened to them in their life that just completely changed their heart and mind and everything. So I grew up in Jeddah, and that's where my family was originally based. After that, when I went away to study communications and media, and I did not want to come back this time. My parents had moved from Jeddah to Riyadh. I had just visited Riyadh as a little baby, so I wasn't really familiar much with Riyadh. And back in that time, there wasn't that much in Riyadh, whereas Jeddah, we used to have a great time. We used to go to the beach house, we used to go to the Corniche, and like, Riyadh was a desert. And I was coming out of a Pakistani family who was not into like, activities in the desert. So the desert was an unknown area to me. So this time it was not a choice. So I actually finished my studies and I was crying because I was getting job opportunities from everywhere. And my parents said that you have two choices: either get married and live on your own terms, or you come back to where your parents are. And they were not here when I left. So I'm like, you guys were in Jeddah, you relocated while I was away. So, Riyadh, I came in tears, not with a closed heart, with an open heart and open mind. And I'm like, okay, fine, I don't have a choice. So, my parents are making this one choice for me because generally throughout my life, I had a lot of the choices. My family does not consider media or communications as studies or education, but I chose it and they let me be. But Riyadh was not a choice at first. So, but I still came with an open heart and open mind with tears, and I'm asking people like, okay, I studied communication and media. What can I do? Somebody's telling me you could be a school teacher. Somebody is telling me that, like, you could be maybe working in a hospital reception. Well, this is exactly what I studied for 4 years for, right? Like communications and media. How is it relevant? So I was even crying more. I tried teaching. I did try to work in a hospital as well, insurance correspondence and things, but it was just not my thing. So I mean, I tried things and I wasn't really liking them because I was a hardcore media person. And one day, like, I was just randomly watching Saudi TV. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to call the Saudi TV and look for a job. And everybody is like, listen, things don't happen like this. You're in Saudi Arabia, okay? You need a, which is a word that I really dislike. You need a wasta, you need a connection. No way. Like, you're a Pakistani, Saudi TV. What are you thinking? I mean, what's wrong with you? And then, I'm like, okay, I don't have any Wasta, I don't have any connection, like according to what people say. But, you are as determined as you want to be. And I did not really have much choices. I did try teaching. I ran away from it. It's not my thing. I tried to work in the hospital. I ran away from it. Again, not my thing. It doesn't come to me naturally. This is not what I studied. This is not what I trained for. So I pick up random, cues from here and there. How do I get the number of Saudi TV? Now, you're talking about 2005. Internet is not all over the place. You don't really have data and information like this. Okay, you know what? We have a telephone at home, a landline number. Let's call 905 Riyadh operator. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Cyma. I'm looking for the number of Saudi TV. Saudi TV. And then, like, the man is like, oh, so I will give you the number of Ministry of Culture and Information. No, I'm looking for the number of Saudi TV. That would be Ministry of Culture and Information. So you call because the Riyadh operator at 905 speaks perfect English. Now I'm starting to call a ministry. It's the Saudi ministry. Now there's the operator keeps answering the phone, and once he hears my Assalamu alaikum, he already is a bit like, how do I carry on a conversation? And then everything which is coming from my mouth is in English because I was a very, very, ignorant person when it came to Arabic, which is an unfortunate thing. But a lot of the foreigners who have been living in Saudi Arabia for a long time go to international schools and do not really get to communicate in Arabic well. So I was constantly talking in English. And this man, like, he's trying to apologize, then he hangs up. Then he hangs up again. I was so persistent, I called like 10 or 12 times. Finally, this operator felt very sorry for me and he transferred my call to the one person he knew for sure who spoke English, which was the general manager of the English channel. And literally, it was the manager of the English network who answered. He connected my call, the operator from the Ministry of Culture and Information. And the manager said, Cyma, I really, really like the way that you're sounding. I think, your linguistic skills are very good. Why don't you come and have a meeting with us here? And we will get to see you. We will get to find out more about your work experience because I told him that I was working in the media before. And so I went down, it was ABC. At first, I was a bit hesitant. Now, this is the manager of the English channel. I got the number from 905. I'm going to meet this person. I didn't really know where I'm going. It's like, an anonymous building or what. Once I arrive, it's the Ministry of Culture and Information. There's National Guard security everywhere. It's the television tower area. And I walk in and I was interviewed by the manager. And literally the next day, I was asked to be in Saudi TV, the Ministry of Culture and Information, at 6 a.m. to be going live on air at 8. I mean, you don't really have bigger doors than that opening with a phone call and taking the number from 905. So it really is very frustrating for me to hear these stereotypical notions that Saudi Arabia is closed. Like, how much more open can a country be? Like 2005, getting the number from 905 Riyadh operator and landing a job at the Ministry of Culture and Information, you can just hear the preset notions. Oh, Pakistani, welcome. It's Saudi TV, it's Saudi government entity, it's Saudi network. Did you try? Were you persistent? Did you really, really try to knock the doors? Did you walk out from your, this comfort sphere and look for an opportunity literally? Because how easier can it be? I was like 18 or 19 years old back then. But I did not speak to people like, this manager of the network that I had met. He was not talking to me like somebody is gonna just like, hush a little person because he was a senior person. He had his consultant with him who was also a senior figure in the Saudi media at that time. And they both were so kind and nice to me. I had doors opening, but I would say that, doors opening, a lot of the times I feel like it's fate and fortune and good luck. But a lot of the times you receive what you are from inside as well. I was always so open towards Saudi Arabia. I was persistent, and I feel like a lot of the times the opportunities goes to people like that, because when you will be having a preset notion, when you have already so much negativity inside of you, then some positive things would not really come and occur to you perhaps.
What an incredible story of persistence and determination. Because if you haven't made these calls multiple times and you were determined to get it, and you were also like had these problem solving skills at a time before the internet, like right now, you could just like find a number and like Google everything. But back at that time, that wasn't there. But you managed to do that. Like you're very like resourceful and resilient.
I'm
It's
so grateful
incredible,
to the
Saima.
905.
Wow. That's amazing. Like, I just have no words. Amazing. And then you started working there, and you've had this incredible journey where you truly have been one of the first people to actually, you know, bring up so many important stories, so much substance. Uh, and a lot of people internationally have watched you, Saima. A lot of people like have heard about Saudi Arabia and the story of Saudi Arabia through your platform.
Uh,
How does that? Yeah.
a lot of the diplomats, and now unfortunately we don't have an English television channel in Saudi Arabia, a Saudi national TV channel. We still do have channel one, which is Arabic. I feel like, it's a sad thing because right now Saudi Arabia has opened up so much. And I feel like, yes, we have a lot of the different, sources. Saudi Arabia is like, big with digitalization, and then you have all these people who are on social media, and a lot of the stories from here are going all over the world. I feel like everybody is a media person now. Back in the day, when in 2005 I would be meeting people or delegates, I'd be saying I'm a media person. Now everybody is a media person. Like, internet is a huge thing all over the place, so there are like a lot of the media people all around. But I feel like, yes, it's a little bit sad for me as a media person that we don't have an English national network or international network of Saudi Arabia where stories from here are going to be going around. It's amazing to have, like, podcasts, because I feel like some of the times these really help as well. But interviewing people, meeting people, the only thing that it has done to me is that it always made me understand this is not what I would like to do. When I hear your story, I feel like, okay, this is not what I would like to do, or this is not what I see or how I see it. So let me go and create my own story. So a lot of the
So,
times I
so what
feel
do you
like
mean by that? Like when you hear a story, you feel like you learn what not to do. You mean like
sometimes,
yeah?
yes, yeah. For instance, like, you're sharing a story about what happened to you in X, Y, or Z place, or the situation that you were in. So I'm like, okay, it didn't work out for her. So can we approach it from some other way? So let's, like, brainstorm a little bit. Is there another way out to it? And there always is, again, if you're determined enough. So there were a lot of the interesting interviews that I conducted. Sometimes, in the middle of the interview, I feel like, how is it that I am going to be able to steer it into any direction when the person is just having his own narrative and he's not really sharing experiences or true typical examples which would be able to make us have a clear understanding. Media is, yes, a lot of the times I feel like, media is great because it can, like, really bring you a lot of information in one go. But these days we are surrounded by sources of information. So how it is that you filter through it is very much your own call.
Got it. Very, very interesting. Do you believe that media reflects reality, and having done media in depth, that helped you in like your socializing and your social life and how you conduct your other uh, businesses and other, professional attempts?
Socializing, I would say, like, networking is amazing. Whether you are, like for me, 2005, and I was very new in Riyadh, I used to go to the Dirab Golf Club a lot. So many amazing people, like, uh, very, very elite business people. And I mean, people were like, all around there. I got to have so many of the interesting conversations with people. I liked running. So through my running club, I met very interesting, amazing people in
Amazing. You had a
Riyadh.
running club?
Yes, I was
Wow.
not a runner when I came to Riyadh, by the way. And then I came by Riyadh Road Runners, and that's what really, really opened my cultural doors. Like, different people, cultures which are living in Saudi Arabia from all over the world, they were part of the Riyadh Road Running Club. So a lot of the people that I met through that, hikes or climbs, I mean, like, one of my really, really special relationships are from a hike. Well, it's funny because, like, I'm such a Najdi at heart. And then I met my Najdi soul sister while climbing a mountain in Morocco. We both were posted that there is another person coming from Saudi Arabia. We were going with, like, this climbing company, and we were going to Morocco to climb one of the highest of the Atlas Mountains, Mount Tubkal. And we both were posted the same thing from this company, maybe, believing in confidentiality or something like that. They said, oh, so you're coming from Saudi Arabia. There's another person coming from Saudi Arabia. So we both did not know it's going to be a man or a woman. Saudi Arabia, which part of Saudi Arabia? And when we guys met in Morocco, it was like an international group. And in that group, it was like the two of us were coming from Riyadh, like two girls. And we really, really had a very interesting time there. We came back from the mountain, but the relationship and the friendship continued. And then over the past decade, it grew so much. And well, funny enough, that her name is Najd even.
Wow.
So, so again, I mean, I feel like, a lot of the times you attract what it is that you are in your heart as well. So, because I'm such a Najdi at heart, so her name is Najd. And she was, I mean, again, somebody who has always lived in Saudi Arabia, but I have lived in Saudi Arabia. I have Saudi friends. But when you have this kind of a close friendship, it's like not even a best friend, it's more than a best friend. I mean, I call her my soul sister, but she actually was a big opening door of Saudi Arabia to me. How is it that a Saudi family is exactly truly from being an insider of the family, because her family embraced me? When I meet her family, I mean, it's a huge, huge Najdi tribe that they belong to, mashallah, a very beautiful, very wonderful, and very, very privileged family from a big tribe in Saudi Arabia. How they embraced me. Everyone, even the members of the family who do not speak much English. How I feel like, incorporated amongst them, how open hearted they are. It was like, a very, very big eye opener. Again, like, I fell in love with the region of Najd much before, like, I met this friend of mine. But it's really amazing how the people are. I think the people are the biggest reason that I have this love for Riyadh, because the people in Riyadh, like, all of these real Najdi people, they are so kind. They are so generous. They are so benevolent. They are so welcoming. I never felt like an outsider. I mean, I am a Pakistani, but again, like, I'm referring to a passport, which is my citizenship. But truly, truly a Saudi at heart, because I have embraced this country, this kingdom, and it has embraced me back. Whenever it is that I think about my life, it's only beautiful stories around Saudi Arabia. People who are actually that wonderful. I mean, the last that we guys were doing winter camping, and then her family had, like, these camping caravans and these tents and camps all around humongous area. And I am amongst, like, 60, 70, 80 men and women from her tribe and her family. And everybody is so welcoming from their eyes. Even before we have a conversation, I can see them through. I can see, like, how it is that they have embraced a Pakistani in. Her sister's telling me, like, oh, you're part of the family. Our mother is hosting, like, this is, I mean, our mother, it was like her wish to host like a big party for these four newly married couples in the family. But sadly, that, may Allah have mercy on her, that she is no longer. We, as the daughters, are going to have this party because our mom wanted to host all these newly married couples. And I was with them. And it's like, again, 90, or no, actually, maybe 100 or 150, actually, women, all Saudi Najdi women. A lot of them, the younger generation, everybody is highly, highly accomplished, highly educated. But the elderly women who do not even speak much English are welcoming me like such beautiful, kind souls. So I feel like, it's my day-to-day interactions which have made me fall in love so much, so hopelessly, with Saudi Arabia.
So, as a Pakistani who is a Saudi Najdi at heart,
Hmm.
What kind of advice would you give to newcomers or even international residents who are thinking about coming to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, when it comes to how they can thrive and succeed both professionally and socially? What kind of mindset should they adapt and what kind of values should they have?
Open heart and open mind. I mean, like, I feel like I cannot really say this enough. When you come with an open heart and open mind, you just see what is going to be around you because you are ready to see, explore, and embrace. Once you explore, you're going to be, there is no way that somebody is not going to like the people because of how kind they are in this country. I mean, like, the way that they welcome you into Saudi Arabia, the cultural identity in Saudi Arabia is so strong. For myself, well, I'm coming from Pakistan, but like I felt always that I understood Saudi Arabia because my family has lived here for generations. Guess what? My family was living as an expatriate family in Saudi Arabia, even my father.
Can
But
you
when
elaborate on what that means? That
an
they're living as an
expatriate would be
expatriate?
a person who is coming out of his own country to generate his income or generate wealth in another foreign land. So when I think about myself, am I an expatriate? Well, actually, if you go by definition, I am an expatriate in Saudi Arabia. But I am such a Saudi at heart that I don't feel like an expatriate. This is your willingness. If you are willing to explore, if you are going to open your mind and open your heart and open your doors and look beyond, you are going to really, really find where it is that you want to be. So I would not say that I identify as an expatriate. My heart truly like bleeds green, I believe. Well, Pakistani flag is green as well. But
That's true.
Saudi Arabia, yes, yeah. So I feel like, a lot of the people, they live in foreign countries and they spend their whole life and sometimes die as an expatriate.
Mm.
I really, really feel like, I'm very well integrated into the Saudi society. I understand the traditions, I understand the culture, and I truly love it. I mean,
When it comes to the traditions and culture,
Hmm.
can you think of like a single like habit or etiquette that is truly uniquely Saudi that you haven't witnessed, whether it's in your Pakistani like culture or in other cultures that you've lived with? Like, what is something that's uniquely Najdi and Saudi that quietly changes everything when it
see,
comes?
when we talk about Saudi Arabia, this is like one thing that you hear again and again, like, hospitality. But I come from a country where, like, there is, I mean, I don't know, like it's again so difficult. Like, which country do I come from? Like, I have always been in Saudi Arabia, but Pakistan is also big on hospitality, so they really, really go above and beyond for guests. Saudi Arabia is another kingdom which has the same kind of roots and traditions because they value family, they value hospitality. They are really, really very generous, but like, that's how people are in Pakistan as well. So I would say, like, what really is truly, truly Najdi would be the Najdi architecture. I know I'm a person who is into culture and heritage. So Najdi architecture, I mean, like, it's like every time that I'm taking a friend to Diraya, to At-Turaif especially. Okay, now At-Turaif is like, not only just a UNESCO marked heritage site for me, it is the birthplace of Saudi Arabia. It's like the crown jewel when you talk about the city of Riyadh. That's where the kingdom of Saudi Arabia started. But it's so much more special to me. I feel like, there is there's something that gets kindled inside of me every time that I am in Diriyah, okay? At Thuraif, walking around, going towards the Salwa Palace. My mind is always like, how were they living in those times? How were they walking around the Salwa Palace? Like, my mind has movies and different things that is just constantly playing, thinking about how life was back then. So, I mean, Najdi architecture, it's absolutely, absolutely something that I am in love with. I am obsessed with. I have been part of the Najdi project as well here, and it was like, all about the Saudi Najdi culture and heritage. And I am really, really in love with it. So this place is like a place which is very, very special to me. And the Najdi architecture is very unique, extremely unique. And what they are doing in Saudi Arabia, by the way, God bless the Saudi crown prince and God bless him with his vision and his mission. I feel like, he has made the Saudi cultural identity so strong that people are coming from all around the world to see the Raya. At is amazing. What they are doing furthermore, they're like, if you go towards Bujairi, if you look into, oh my God, there is this beautiful, beautiful Najdi home project, which is ongoing still. They're going to be luxury, beautiful homes. Oh my God, my heart. How I wish to have my place. My family already bought a home in Riyadh, but it's like, oh my God, such a deep wish to have a place in there in the Raya. They call it the city of earth, which is like, how it looks like as well, because you see all these mud brick homes, these beautiful, elaborate, like, mud brick homes, which are like all in these monotone sand color. And then you have those beautiful Najdi doors with like these bright hues on it. Oh my goodness, I just absolutely love it. Those triangles, those circles, all of those different shapes, the Najdi doors, it's absolutely beautiful. I would like highly recommend to anybody who has not really been to Saudi Arabia. I know that a lot of the people are now wanting to come down to see Al Ula and some of the other places in Saudi Arabia, but I highly recommend, guys, like Riyadh is the place. The Raya, it's like absolutely the heart of it. And it is beautiful because you're walking through a culture. It's not just a culture, actually, you're walking through a civilization in a way, because Saudi Arabia has like modernized and urbanized so much. When you go to those places, it really, really lingers different thoughts in your heart and mind, or at least for me, that is the place. Yes, totally.
Saima, I think we all can see the passion and the sparks in your eyes when you're talking about this topic. Like, I have not seen that with anything else, which is absolutely amazing and admirable and beautiful. So, I would assume that if a friend of yours landed in Riyadh and they had only like 6 hours to explore Riyadh city, in addition to taking them to Diriyah, let's keep that on the
By
side.
the way, now this should be a benchmark. See where it was that the crown prince took the Prince of Wales on his visit to Aturaif. So I think now he already set the benchmark. So yes, that would be a quintessential place.
Yeah.
I would say, but Riyadh is again. The Raya is like absolutely, absolutely
It's a
my
must
heart.
see for
Yes.
anyone visiting Riyadh, Saudi
Anybody,
Arabia.
anybody visiting Riyadh,
Yeah.
and like, again, like, the birthplace of the kingdom, it's really, really enchanting to be walking around there from the Salwa Palace to the museum. It's open like, all day, I think from 10 in the morning until 10 at night. So at any time of the day, you could be taking people. I mean, given like they're not coming at a inconvenient midnight hour or something. But other than that, like, maybe I would say that because I love Riyadh City so much, I would like to see their level of shock from walking in a Tureif to maybe eventually, you said 6 hours, right?
6 hours only.
Maybe we head down to King Abdullah Financial District, CAF, because they saw the Saudi brick homes and like, the mud brick homes. That's the beginning, the original, birth of Saudi Arabia's Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. But then you go to CAF and you see like these skyscrapers. So, you would be wowed by the glitz and the glam of Riyadh City. So maybe to CAF, and then you walk around CAF because CAF is like very urban, very modern. Uh, a lot of amazing, important decisions are made there. You've got like PIF there too. You get to see like Alibaba to all of these international names around you to top Saudi banks. I feel like, it is amazing. But one of the things is, by the way, again, not something that I would say because I have lived in Saudi Arabia all of my life. And I mean, to to at Turayf, I cannot count the number of times that I have been there. Every time I hear different things. But recently, a very close friend was visiting from London, and I was taking them around Carved. And that's when, like, I suddenly, so we were walking by, and there is a children's playground. Now, Carved is the financial district, but because Saudi Arabia has such great emphasis on family and family life, they have a park which is for family and kids there inside of Carved. So this friend suddenly made a comment, and of course, London is like extremely familiar to me. He said, "You know what, Saima? This is amazing. Like, this is like the financial area. I cannot imagine, like, a play area like this in Canary Wharf. We cannot be walking there at, like, this hour of the night. This place is so alive with like children in this play area and all these cafes and restaurants. It's like amazing what
Like it's
Saudi
super
Arabia is
family
doing."
oriented while still maintaining the business and investment kind of
Yeah, but
vibes. Yeah.
like, like again, like Canary Wharf at night, it's like there's not really much going on. But CAFT is so beautifully utilized because during the daytime, important business decisions are being made there. But in the evenings, you get to see like children actually in that playground. You get to see like, people from all spheres of life in those cafes, in those restaurants, in CAFT. So, I mean, I love this area. And then, well, if your 6 hours are done, you head on to the metro and go straight down to the airport. Well, that's what you said, 6 hours, right?
Six.
Yeah. Public transportation is, by the way, amazing. So, this Saudi friend of mine, again, like one of my soul sisters, this was a Saudi females initiative of climbing Mount Kilimanjaro when I went to climb Mount
Wow.
Kilimanjaro in 2016 with 19 Saudi women, being a Pakistani and Saudi female top achievers. And each one, like, was a name in the area of work that they are coming from. And I was climbing with them. So I came down from both the mountains that I climbed with my Saudi soul sisters. The first one, which was Kilimanjaro, it was like already set and decided who we are going. And this group of 19 Saudi women and me as the only Pakistani in this group. And I came back with another Saudi soul sister from that mountain. So she was doing a PhD in Leeds in UK. So when we guys were having a lunch at one of the beautiful restaurants in Kavd recently, she said, like, Saima, have you taken the metro? And I'm like, no, I have not. And she was doing a PhD in Leeds, so she became very familiar with public transportation system. And she said that we are going to be taking the metro, by the way. So she is in teaching at King Saud University, and she uses the metro to get to King Saud University every day. And she lives in my neighborhood, actually. So she said that we are going to be going from Kav back home in the metro. And oh my goodness, I felt like, how come I did not try this before? It is amazing, the public transportation system. And again, if it was not for my Saudi soul sister, who just lived through the public transportation in UK, insisting to me that I need to be taking the metro, I was already in my comfort zone. Like, it's my Uber everywhere usually. But that was so convenient. I mean, I highly urge people to use the public transportation so that we get a lot of this extra traffic off the road. So we give maybe room to more tourist people coming around and driving from one part of the city to the other. But wherever you can, access a metro, I would definitely say to be using the metro. It is amazing, like how quick and how speedy it was to be getting from Kaf to our neighborhood was amazing. So I fell in love with the public transportation system, by the way. And I really, really feel like more and more people should be using it so that they also expand the network to other parts. And well, in general, as it is, it's very accessible. Like I was telling you that, like the 6 hour friend to Saudi Arabia, I could take them to the Raya. Maybe like you drive down from the airport to the Raya, you head out to Kaft, and then from Kaft, like straight the metro down. You really cannot get to the airport any faster than with the
Wow.
metro.
You got all the itinerary done for your friend and for their 6 hours. No, absolutely. The metro is pretty convenient and it's nice as well. Like it's very clean and amazing. Saima, as we wrap up this episode, I want to ask you if there is anything that you wanted to say that maybe I haven't asked about, or if you have any final words you'd like to share with our audience.
Well, I am a person who has spent all my life in Saudi Arabia. I have traveled around the world, more than half the world, again, I would say, and I have traveled very extensively. I would just say that going around the world, the more it is that I see the world, the more it is that I truly, truly, truly deeply understand why it is that my heart calls Saudi Arabia and Riyadh home. I'm just full of gratitude for this kingdom, for all that it has given me. Everything that I have is from Saudi Arabia and given by Saudi Arabia. I'm truly grateful. And I really, really feel like, gratitude and gratefulness is what brings the best towards you. A lot of the people, they hear my story because unfortunately, for any movie or any story to really become a blockbuster, you need some sad parts in between in that story. Unfortunately, I've got no sad part, so I don't know when my life's movie or story is going to become a blockbuster because
I think
unfortunately
that
I
part
don't
where you moved
think.
back to Riyadh and you didn't want to, that's
Oh,
the sad part, Saima.
well,
I believe
yes.
so. That
Because
wasn't
in
your
general,
choice.
actually true that, but that's literally the only sad part to my story. So no big, like, setbacks or anything. Like Saudi Arabia has been so amazing that I'm just full of gratitude, honestly. Like, my eyes can well up when I talk about the country because of how privileged I am. The life that I live, I'm truly, truly, eternally grateful. And then, whenever it is that I pray, I'm like, Allah, thank you so much for giving me Saudi Arabia because this is the ultimate gift of my life. Honestly, everything that I have is from here. So I have so much of gratitude. And people say, like, you're just lucky. No, it's not just lucky. Everything that comes towards you from the universe is sent towards you with what is inside of you. So keep your, like, thoughts positive and just believe that which direction you are heading in is going to be the right one for you, and the universe would make it happen. So I'm somebody who's very spiritual, but other than that, I feel like a lot of the great things in my life is because of gratitude and thankfulness.
Cyma Azyz, we are very grateful for having you today. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And we're truly grateful for your time and the incredible journey that you've been through. Thank you so much.